There are interesting updates from the Dnipropetrovsk direction. Here, the Russians opted for a daring move and managed to cross an important obstacle in the fog and deploy troops in a village, surprising the Ukrainian defense. The Ukrainians still managed to react quickly and engage the enemies, even turning the fog against them and capturing an intact Russian armored vehicle. The Russian assault on Novopavlivka began under the cover of dense fog, which prevented either side from fully relying on drones. Exploiting this rare window, Russian forces quickly set up a pontoon crossing between Yalta and Dakhny and transported roughly 10 armored vehicles across the river. Because the fog was extremely thick, Ukrainian surveillance detected the maneuver too late, allowing the Russians to disperse troops in the central and southern parts of the village. Russian analysts immediately glorified the event, claiming absurdly that the same vehicles not only made a successful two-way trip with no losses, but also immediately picked up more troops upon the return and made the second two-way trip undetected. Novopavlivka holds great tactical value, and if Russia captures it, its troops could push toward Mazhova from the south and severely weaken Ukraine's defensive flank west of the Pokrovsk direction. This area has very few settlements suitable for establishing firm defensive lines, meaning any Russian advance north of Novopavlivka could unfold quickly. That is why the fog-aided Russian breakthrough created initial concern. But the truth of what happened differs from the Russian narrative. The Russians managed to make only one crossing, and even that came with losses, as while the fog limited drone visibility, Ukrainian operators still managed to detect and strike Russian equipment. Geolocated footage shows Russian tanks and armored vehicles being immobilized before the fog lifted fully and later destroyed once visibility improved. Even so, Russia succeeded in landing a limited number of troops who immediately scattered across houses, small shelters, and farm structures. Ukrainian infantry began clearing operations immediately, working building by building and street by street to root out infiltrators. Soon after, Ukrainian forces released another geolocated video from Novopavlivka, showing the elimination of the Russian equipment that had managed to slip into the village. One armored vehicle and several Russians, initially lucky enough to evade immediate detection, were spotted and destroyed by drone-dropped grenades. While Russian sources claimed that over 100 soldiers infiltrated the settlement, judging that their second cross indeed happened, Ukrainian officers estimated that no more than 50 made it inside. Ukrainian soldiers captured 2 Russians from a destroyed BMP-2 and even managed to seize a working BMP-1 as a trophy, using the fog as cover to their advantage this time. Prior to the assault on Novopavlivka in the Dnipropetrovsk region, the 1st Predators of the Heights Unmanned Systems Battalion of the 59th Assault Brigade conducted a reconnaissance of buildings using an FPV drone. The video was posted on the battalion's Telegram channel and by the soldier of the 59th Brigade, Lucky_Soldier, on his X page. The published footage shows an FPV drone cautiously flying around rooms in several houses in search of Russian soldiers. After that, the soldiers of the 59th Brigade's Shkval Battalion cleared the village. On November 16th, it became known that 15 Russian soldiers were killed in the brigade's operation, and 2 more were captured. It is noteworthy that the Russian troops used a converted BMP-1K-SH to storm the village, which the fighters of the 59th Brigade also looted. This vehicle has no weapons. Its turret is stationary. It is equipped with a telescopic antenna, radio stations, navigation devices, chemical and radiation reconnaissance devices, and an autonomous gasoline power generator. Video from yesterday's massive attack. A Ukrainian F-16 hunts down a Russian X-101 missile. Even in limited numbers, the F-16s are demonstrating exactly why they are considered one of the most effective defensive fighters in modern warfare. On the Kostiantynivka axis, operators from the Phoenix Unmanned Systems Regiment took out a rare and valuable target. A PPR-U-1 OVOD mobile air defense command post used to control systems like Strela 10. 2 trucks and 4 Russian troops were also hit. Ukrainian forces on the Kostiantynivka axis are holding under relentless Russian pressure, using mobile defense tactics to trade space for survivability while inflicting steady losses. Russian units are pushing with armor and infantry groups trying to widen the salient. But every advance meets coordinated drone strikes, anti-armor teams, and rapid counter-assaults that reset the line. I don't think there is a chance to stop the fighting without Trump, says Putin'S.
Anna Timofeeva, a nice Dante Pokam. In your July interview with Bloomberg, you stated that US President Trump's position is consistent and it's not worth judging him based on media portrayals. Anna Timofeeva, as the head of a special service, I know more, you emphasized. So who is Donald Trump for Ukraine now? How exactly do we view him?
Roman Burenko. First, I maintain my stance. His actions are completely systematic and consistent. And who exactly is he to us? I will just allow myself to rephrase this a little. Not just your question, but the entire paradigm of this situation. Without his direct intervention, I don't believe there's any real chance to stop the ongoing hostilities as things stand right now.
U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance has proposed a brilliant idea for how to end the war in Ukraine, and how no one thought of it earlier.
But I also think that there's this sense that while he wants to save lives, he also sees a world where people are engaging in commerce with one another rather than killing one another. And he just, you know, he's a tough guy, but he's not a violent human. Like he's not a person, you know, who I think understands violence at a sort of fundamental level. It's like, why don't you stop killing each other and start trading with one another? Why, rather than Russia and Ukraine killing one another, why don't they actually engage in some commerce with one another, travel between the two countries, engage in some sort of cultural exchange? That is his fundamental perspective that he takes into these things. And fundamentally, if we get more peace in the world, it's good for American workers, it's good for the American people, and the president's going to keep on pursuing peace.
At the Lauseni-Albica checkpoint between Romania and Moldova, customs officers found an arsenal of Russian weapons and ammunition in a truck. According to Ziarul Degarda, the driver, a Moldovan citizen, said that the cargo was to be delivered to Israel. The truck was carrying Russian grenade launchers, including the RPG-30 Kryok, the latest 9K-333 Verba portable anti-aircraft missile system, 9K-135 Kornet missile launchers, and components of attack drones. The incident occurred around 1:30 a.m. on November 20th. The driver of the truck with the container provided customs officers with documents describing the cargo as metal elements. After a risk analysis, the Moldovan customs officer informed his Romanian colleagues of his suspicions, and a joint scan of the vehicle was conducted. It is claimed that weapons belonging to the Moldovan armed forces were also found there. The company that allegedly organized the transit is SP Solar System, SRL, registered in 2004. According to open data, the company has only 3 employees and declared a net profit of $76,200 in 2024. One of the company's founders, Vyacheslav Pirvu, told reporters that he knew nothing about the cargo and that his friend asked him to export it through the company. He did not provide further details and refused to answer questions.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.